In this video, we're gonna take a deep dive into setting up your Rotovise Pro. Let's get started. Now, out of the box, the Rotovise Pro comes with the Rotovise itself, a handle, and a stubby length Allen wrench. Now, depending on the style of rotary platter, the only thing you may need to source yourself is either T-nuts, if your rotary has a T-slot platter, and the appropriately sized socket cap screws to match. We recommend sizes of 3/8 inch diameter or 10mm screws will work as well. But again, the length will need to match the thread depth of your platter or the T-nuts. Okay, let's take a look at the Rotovise. It comes pre-assembled with a guide pin that you selected at checkout. This guide pin should match the center bore of your rotary, and it's actually undersized by 3/1000ths of an inch. Its sole purpose is to guide the Rotovise into place and provide a little bit of clearance, enabling you to dial in the exact center of rotation. Now, we do this because whether it's wear, crashes, or manufacturing tolerances, rotary units themselves don't always spin true, so we need just a little bit of clearance between the guide pin and the center bore so we can have adjustment. Now, this mounting flange is what's bolted to the face of your rotary, and it works with either 4 or 6 T-slot platters. If you have an existing platter that uses 96mm pull studs, you can use these precision bores on the back side for those pull studs. Okay, let's get this installed in the machine. Now, if you're using the direct bolt approach, orient your Rotovise so this position with a slot is on top. This will allow you to more easily get the installation started. Now, the first thing I do is take the center line measurement of my rotary unit. In this example, we have a Haas HRT 160 here that has a 5-inch center line, and we have it mounted on our Smart Plate rotary riser, which has a thickness of 1 inch 900 thousandths. This means our rotary has a center line of 6 inch 900. Now, pay special attention to this next part. Subtracting 1 inch 950 from 6 inch 900 gives us 4 inch 950. Now, what I did is I sawed this piece of aluminum to that 4 inch 950 length, and I'm gonna clamp it deep in the jaw opposite of this slot down here on the bottom side. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna place this on the machine table with the Rotovise resting on this block. Okay, now it's a lot easier to maneuver the Rotovise Pro into place. Now, once it's flush with the platter, drop a T-nut and screw in this slot and get it finger tight. Next, we'll loosen the bottom jaw and remove the aluminum block, but before doing any jogging of the rotary, install the bottom T-nut and screw, and again, get it just finger tight. At this point, we can safely jog the rotary and work around the flange, installing the rest of the T-nuts. One quick side note. Some other models of rotary units, like our larger Haas HRT 210, have alternating depths of T-slots, so you might need to modify a second set of T-nuts for extra clearance to reach closer to the center bore. Now, if you don't want to do this, that's perfectly fine, just securing it with 3 out of the 6 bolts. But ideally, the more bolts, the better. It really just depends on your level of comfort and the aggressiveness of the machining you're planning to do. Okay, so all the screws are finger tight, and now it's ready to get the Rotovise indicated. Simply indicate the Rotovise into place by using an indicator on this outside flange. Now that we've dialed it down, let's incrementally tighten all the bolts by skipping every other bolt and operating in a star pattern. Once all these are tightened and torqued down, check your indicator just one more time. Now, the next question I get is, what is the torque value? Now, I wish I could answer that, but it really depends on whether you're using T-nuts as well as the diameter of screw you end up using, since these can have different torque values. But what I can tell you is that the torque value for a 3/8/16 screw into steel is 40 foot-pounds. But listen, make sure the rotary brake is engaged while tightening these screws. This eliminates any undue stress on the rotary's worm gear. Next up, we're gonna zero out our rotary unit and record the A origin in one of our offsets in the control. Now, the easiest way to do this is to clamp a parallel in the top station and then run an indicator across the parallel until we zero out the rotary unit. Now, once we've established our A0, let's enter that into an offset in the control. In this example, I'll use G58. Okay, next up, we're gonna establish our center of rotation in the control, starting with our Z plane. Now, keep in mind, the center of rotation is represented by a line where the Z plane and the Y plane intersect. So now, in this case, I'm using a Haimer probe with a known gauge length, but you could always use any other type of tool with a known gauge length, or better yet, a machine probe. So here I'm zeroing out my Haimer probe, recording this position into the control, and then subtracting 1 inch 950 thousandths. Now, where did this number come from? Well, 1 inch 950 is half the width of the Rotovice's body. Now that we've established the Z plane, I'm gonna jog my Haimer and touch the front face of the Rotovice body. I'm gonna zero out the Haimer and record this position in the control's Y offset, and then immediately add 1 inch 950 to get it to the center of the body. Now, if you don't have a probe or an indicator, you can do this step with a traditional edge finder as well. Now, while we're at it, let's also establish our X offset. Now, you can put this anywhere you want, but I recommend this face right here since it's accessible and easy to touch, but other customers like to use the face of their rotary platter as well. That works just fine as long as you can actually touch the face of your rotary platter with a probe. Now, we have the X, the Y, and the Z dimensions saved to our G58 work offset, and we can use this standardized location for our programming. Now, in the latest versions of our Rotovise, we hid a little Easter egg, namely this little orange cap. Now, what this orange cap does, if you remove it, is it reveals an adjustable center hole. So if you do have a tailstock, which we don't recommend, you can use it for extra stability, but just know that the cast iron body and hardened components is incredibly rigid, and using a tailstock typically interferes with accessing the hex bolts on the end of the Rotovise. The main reason for using a tailstock is if you notice wear or looseness in the bearings of your rotary unit. Well, congratulations, we're all set to run, but for those of you using our Rotovise pallets, let's take a minute to talk about that. The first thing you want to do is prep each station to use with pallets. On the sliding jaw carrier side, you'll notice a small hole. This is where our spring-loaded set screw goes that puts tension on the sliding carrier and keeps it in place. Now, using a small Allen wrench, back it out about 5 or 6 turns. From there, you'll be able to lift it up and forward to remove the sliding jaw carrier. Quick note for reattaching them: tighten the set screw all the way until it stops and then back it off by a half turn. Now, the fixed jaw carrier is self-explanatory, but use our included 3/8 inch Allen wrench to loosen these top bolts. Now, while we have these off, notice the station number engraved in the pocket. This station number is important because whatever pallet you machine needs to be used in the same station it was created to ensure that you have consistent repeatability. Now also, let's take a look at the bottom of these pallets. We've created 4 boxes on the bottom side to act as a quick indicator as to which station the pallet was machined in. You can either mark this with some type of die chem or even a simple center punch will suffice. Also notice that we recommend tightening the jaw to 15 foot-pounds max. Over tightening the pallets only leads to throwing off repeatability, and any extra force doesn't help retain the pallets at all. The dovetail geometry does all the work. Well, that's it. The Rotovise Pro and accessories are always available to be purchased online 24/7 at store.piersonworkholding.com. Now, go innovate your production.